ESPN named a surprise player for all 32 NFL teams, and they lived up to the name because the player that they gave as a surprise for the Fins is a pretty big surprising player. I'm Nic Rohloff, host of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. We'll get into everything here. Who was that surprise player? It was actually a UDFA from 2024, Grayson Murphy, the edge from UCLA. This is a player that we have briefly mentioned so far this offseason as someone who has been flashing in OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So I am excited to see more of Grayson Murphy in the preseason and training camp in late July into August. But before we get more into Grayson Murphy, how about we do a little fun game today? Follow for follow. The first 5 people to follow me on X or Twitter from today's video gets a follow back. My handle is @Nic_Rohloff. My social media has been popping off. We picked up about 400 followers in the last 2 weeks, mostly Heat fans because I have been covering the Heat. I am a Heat fan as well. But I want to make some room for the Dolphins fans as well. Appreciate getting over 2,000 followers. If you want to follow back, first 5, get one from today's show. All right, so ESPN obviously had the reporters give out why these players are named as their more shocking players or surprises. So let's kick it over to ESPN and Marcel, who talked about Grayson Murphy. On a team that features Bradley Chubb, Jaelan Phillips, and Chop Robinson, Murphy made splash plays in the backfield during spring practices. The aforementioned 3 pass rushers should dominate snaps when healthy, but staying healthy has been difficult over the past 2 seasons. Even for Murphy, who landed on injured reserve in August after signing as an undrafted free agent last season. He could provide situational or rotational pass rush depth if he continues his production into training camp. And I mentioned off the top of today's show, this is a player that we've highlighted over the course of our offseason coverage in OTAs and minicamp. Beat reporters such as Barry Jackson, Omar Kelly, Daniel Ferrones, Travis Wingfield, and now Marcel from ESPN have all talked about how Grayson Murphy just continues to jump off the page and continue to make plays in 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s. Obviously, they haven't gotten into padded and contact workouts yet. That is prohibited until you get in the training camp. But Murphy is clearly showing a lot of good traits and potential with Miami early this offseason. And if we're going to be honest, there is room here on the roster at the edge department. When you look at the pass rushers on the outside for Miami, obviously the highlighted Phillips, Robinson, and Chubb are going to be your top 3. But behind them, I think it's widely open. There is room on this roster for a player like Grayson Murphy. We put out a video out earlier in the week talking about John Saunders Jr. having a hard time finding a roster spot due to the amount of safeties Miami has. I think the opposite could be said with edges. The Dolphins have a lot of edges, but they don't have roster locks like there is at the safety position. There's only 3 guaranteed people that are going to be on the 53-man roster when it comes to this Dolphins edge room, giving Grayson Murphy the wiggle room and flexibility that is necessary to potentially make this 53-man roster in late August. So I want you to predict it for me. Prediction time. Will Grayson Murphy make the Dolphins 53-man roster when it is announced in August? Type Y for yes, type N for no, pin comment. I want to know what the Dolphins fans have to say. So go down in the comments and let me know. Let's introduce you more to Grayson Murphy if you are unaware of who this player actually is. He played at the University of North Texas in the American Athletic Conference from 2019 to 2021 before transferring to play for UCLA in 2022 and 2023. He was signed to the Miami Dolphins as an undrafted free agent in the 2024 offseason, but then missed all of last season with an injury. As it was noted from Marcel from ESPN, he was placed on injured reserve in the preseason portion, and if you were put on IR before the season begins, you are then out for the year. And he did play only 1 game in the preseason. He played 28 snaps against the Atlanta Falcons in the first preseason game for Miami on August 9th. I remember that day specifically. It's my birthday. Shout out to me. But after that game, he unfortunately got injured and then never was able to put on a Dolphins uniform again until this upcoming offseason. So we'll see. And the thing is with Murphy is that he was viewed as a steal for the Fins last offseason when he went undrafted. when the Dolphins signed him in undrafted free agency, a lot of people around the NFL media circle was like, wow, this is going to be a pretty solid UDFA signing for Miami. That is a legit chance to make the roster. And I think he would have made the roster due to the injuries that Miami had at the position, with Shaq Barrett retiring as well, leaving Miami a little bit scrambling at that position. Like, I think he would have. And I think he'll make noise again this August, assuming he can stay healthy with the Dolphins' 3 preseason games and full training camp in July and August. I'm excited to see Grayson Murphy really contend for a roster spot. And we'll have full coverage of training camp and preseason leading to the regular season beginning in early September here every single day. So join me and the 70,000 strong that is already subscribed to Dolphins Today. Join us. It's a lot of fun. Let's go back to Grayson Murphy's pre-draft profile because I think it's fun to bring this up. And he is viewed as a pretty solid athlete. Had an RAS of 8.68, elite speed grade. You see a 4.63 40-yard dash. That will absolutely play. But when you compare that and combine it with his explosion grade, it will be very, very good in terms of an optimistic viewpoint. A good broad and vertical showcases his ability to get off the line of scrimmage at a very quick rate. He is a little bit undersized, and he isn't the strongest guy as well, so he does rely on speed moves more than bull and physicality. But that's not me saying that he can't play physical at the point of attack when rushing the passer, because he can. And when you go back to last year's NFL draft in 2024, the draft grade that was given to Grayson Murphy by our own Tom Downey at Chat Sports was a 6th-round grade. So it's a player that our guy Tom Downey had very, very draftable, but he went undrafted. So there is a lot to work with here with Grayson Murphy. And looking back at the scouting report that our own draft expert gave him, he said he wins with strength despite not being the most physical, imposing type of guy. He's able to blend that speed into a quick explosion to the chest of an offensive line and can win there. He has good use of his hands while rushing the passer, and he's a solid player in run defense. Not great, but solid. The question marks with him and the bads was that he missed a lot of tackles in his 2 years playing for the UCLA Bruins, and he also had some questions with his arm length, which we know is a very decisive factor when it comes to prospects on the offense and defensive line, because the first person to reach contact oftentimes is able to win that rep. And that's why there was major questions about LSU's Will Campbell this year, and it's why arm length is looked at as such a positive for offensive linemen and defensive line. So it is a little bit of an issue for Grayson Murphy. We mentioned a little bit earlier. He's a little undersized for his position, but he's got good play strength and good athleticism, which is how he makes up for it, and his ability to be productive. It's also maybe why he is better looking in OTAs and minicamp when there's no pads on, because it's more about athleticism and quickness and bendiness more than physicality and play strength. Maybe that could be a reason why Grayson Murphy has performed better without pads compared to when he put the pads on. Rounding out the show here in a second, but this insane hoodie sale is too good to pass up, folks. Usually this Dolphin sweatshirt, $69. Right now, $29. Yep, that is not a typo. That is not me misspeaking. $40 off when you go to chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. It is not going to be on sale much longer. Sizes are already running out. So if you want to take advantage of this awesome deal, links in the description and comments of today's video. $40 off. Chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. When you think about what Grayson Murphy has to deal with in terms of making this Dolphins 53-man roster, his 2 main competitors are Quentin Bell and Mohamed Kamara. Those 2 are the players that he is going to have to fight for to make this 53-man roster. Kamara was a 5th-round pick in 2024, so he got drafted over Grayson Murphy. And Quentin Bell has bounced around the league, but was productive last season for the Fins. And when you look at that edge competition, it's fascinating. Quentin Bell appeared in about 258 snaps. Mohamed Kamara, only 26. So both weren't major players, but you look at their numbers here. And for Kamara's sake, it's hard to really judge him because he did only get on the football field 26 times last season. But how about this? In his 26 snaps, 17 of them were in pass rushing situations. He ended up winning he ended up getting 2 pressures in those 17 snaps with a pass rush win rate of 23.1%. An extremely small sample size, but a 23% win rate is ridiculous. Quentin Bell was a little bit more productive in the more normal sense, but he, in 230 more snaps than Kamara, only was able to generate 3 more pressures and have a win percentage of 5%. Look, I liked what Quentin Bell gave us because it was unexpected last season, but you could argue that if Mohamed Kamara was given the same opportunities, he would have been able to put up pretty similar numbers. I think Mohamed Kamara is right on the fringe of a roster lock. I don't think I could give him that certified, pounding my fist on the table roster lock like I give other players on the roster right now. But with him being a 5th-round pick from a year ago, there is relatively solid draft capital invested in the Kamara. He flashed some capability in small sample size. And I just believe in the player and the person. The guy has a really, really good mentality. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He plays like he's got fire on his ass all the time. He's just always working. He's always grinding. So I think Mohamed Kamara is borderline a roster lock, which would then leave it to potentially, if you're keeping 5 edge rushers, Quinn Bell and Grayson Murphy. Closing the show in a second, but will Mohamed Kamara make the Dolphins 53-man roster? I think he will, so I would be typing my M for make. But if you think otherwise or agree, let me know your thoughts in the comments. M for make, W for won't. I have often talked about the position battles that is going to be just so fun to watch in training camp. The safety room, the cornerback room. But this edge battle at the edge of this roster is going to be absolutely awesome. Grayson Murphy versus Quentin Bell for potentially the 5th and final spot given out to an edge rusher. It's going to be cinema. Cinema, I say. Watching those two work hand in hand together in the 3 preseason games Miami will play, but then also know that they are likely battling against each other for one of the final roster spots. Oh, it's just going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to watch it unfold. And let's just say this. Let the best man win. If it's Grayson Murphy, I'll be fired up to root him on every week. If it's Quinn Bell, I'll be excited as well because he did show some very good things last season for Miami with what he actually had a pretty solid role in this Anthony Weaver defense. That'll do it for this episode of Dolphins Today. Appreciate everybody who tuned in. As I mentioned at the top, first 5 people to follow me on Twitter from this show, at Nic_Rohloff, get a follow back. You know what? I'll open it up because if you're a real one and made it to the end of the show today, DM me and say real one, and I'll follow you back anyway. So appreciate everybody tuning in throughout the entire show, and make sure you go follow me over on Twitter/X.